Namaste. My name is Kirti, and on behalf of Himalayan Yoga Association, I welcome you all to this online teacher training course. I am a teacher here at Himalayan Yoga Association, and I will be taking you through the concepts and details of the human body and yoga altogether. Let's hope you enjoy this course. Let's start.
Namaste and welcome back to the online yoga teacher training course. In today's session, we are going to figure out how the movements of the bodies are named and what all possibilities are there when it comes to the movement of the various movable joints in the human body. But before that, I need you to come sit with me in silence for a few moments as we chant the Gayatri Mantra. Simply adopt any meditative posture. Join your index finger with your thumb and the rest of the fingers far away from each other. Shoulders roll to the back, spine extended. Completely stay still, comfortable, and observe your breath. Keep your eyes closed, and only when you close your eyes can you see what's going on inside you. Please use the maximum capacity of your lungs to breathe. At the same time, do not stress your lungs at all. Whatever is comfortable is perfect and ideal in this situation. Simply observe the inhalations and the exhalations that happen as you breathe deeply. And once you've gathered all the awareness and attention, bring your awareness back to your hands and join your palms in front of your chest. Touch the heart center with the back of your thumbs. Keep your eyes closed. Slowly breathe in. Now we'll chant the mantra. If you know the mantra, you can chant with me. Otherwise, you can always repeat it afterwards. Inhale. Om Bhurbhuva Swaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yo Na Prachodayat. Having absorbed the vibration of the mantra, gently start rubbing your palms and create some energy between your hands. Cover your eyes with your palms. Transfer this energy to your eyes first. Then massage your face, the back of your neck. And once again, wherever you wish to transfer this energy to, fold your palms in gratitude, bow down to your fingertips, and with a few blinks, open your eyes. Welcome back. So, what are the different movements possible when it comes to the movement of the various joints in the human body? Of course, we can think about moving your arms straight or raising your legs, which is a generic term for discussion when we are talking about the various movements or making any actions in our everyday lives. But the scientific terms are completely different. Please remember the importance of anatomy and how it will help you decipher the various medical terms given to you, just in case if you're planning to go further in case of anatomy or in case of yoga therapy. Here you can see on the board there are 13 different types of movements available that we can make with the help of the various joints available in the human body. What are these names? What are the meanings of these names? And what is it that we're talking about? I'm pretty sure all of us are pretty well aware of all of these possibilities. Let's just go through it once and for all so that we are also well versed with the anatomical medical terms. The first one is abduction. What comes to your mind when you hear the word abduct? Abduct means to take something away from its original source. That is what abduction means. So if a person is standing straight or is in a still position, taking something away from the location of its original source where it's comfortably resting is called as abduction. In case of the body language, taking it away from the source of the body. This is the actual resting position of my hand where there is no stress involved. If I take my hand away from the body, this becomes abduction. The opposite of that, the opposite of abduction, which means to bring something back to its source, is called as adduction. Abduction, taking it away from the body. Adduction, bringing it back to the body. The third one, flexion. Flexion, in simple terms, the easiest way to understand flexion is to reduce the angle between two body parts as it is. For example, if I straighten my arm completely and if I try to bring my fist close to my shoulder, whatever possibilities are there, I will simply bring my shoulder back, and as you can see, the angle as it's reducing is also flexing my biceps. This is where it gets the name from, flexion. The opposite of flexion would be extension, which means to increase the angle between two body parts. If flexion is decreasing the angle between two body parts, extension would be to increase the angle between two body parts. Now, there is another way for you to remember these terms, especially flexion and extension. Whenever we are trying to flex our muscles, usually you'll see that the generic gesture in this case would be men trying to bulge their biceps. This is all about flexing their muscles. The opposite of that would be extension. When they are not flexing their biceps, the muscles in the upper arm, they extend and lengthen completely to provide stability and the movement. This is where it becomes extension and flexion. The other type of movement that we have in the human body is called as rotation. Rotation is nothing but a body part moving on a certain axis. There are a few locations where this is possible. One of them is the shoulder, which is possible because of the ball and socket joint that we're going to discuss in the upcoming few videos. The other location where rotation happens is the neck. The neck is one axis. The head completely rests on this one axis, which is the spine, and on this axis you're able to turn your head around left and right. This is possible because of the upper bone of the spinal vertebrae, which connects the spine and the head together. Another movement possible in case of moving in circles is called as circumduction. A lot of times, a lot of teachers, they somehow make the mistake of confusing themselves with rotation and circumduction. Again, please remember, rotation is moving on one axis. A rotation, how an earth rotates on one axis, it takes 24 hours. The other rotation that happens in 365 days is called as a revolution. We do not call it revolution over here. In medical terms, that whole thing is defined as circumduction. Observe this. This is the hand, an extended arm as it is. This would be rotation and this would be a circumduction. This would be circumduction and this would be rotation. Never get confused between these two terms. After that, the next movement, the seventh point that we have here is pronation and supination. Now, pronation is about any body part, or you yourself for that matter, facing downwards in any position. For instance, if I am laying down flat with my head facing the floor, I am in a prone position. The opposite of that would be supination, which means that I am still laying on the floor, but my head is facing the ceiling. In that case, this whole thing is not applicable only on the body, it's also applicable on various parts of the human body. For instance, spread your arm in the front and observe if the palm is facing the floor or is it facing the ceiling. If your palm is facing the floor, it becomes a pronation, and if the palm is facing the ceiling, it becomes supination. Another easy way for you to remember these two terms and not get confused by it is how, if you have attended any yoga classes, then there are 4 categories of poses in the yoga classes: standing, sitting, prone and supine. The prone and supine comes from pronation and supination itself. Prone poses are the ones which you have to do before you get into the supine category of poses. Supine poses are the one where you're facing the ceiling, which you have to do before you get into Shavasana or the corpse pose. So pronation, something which is facing the floor; supination, something which is facing the ceiling. The next category or the next opposites of movements available to the human body are protraction and retraction. There are certain parts of the human body which are able to extend beyond their body, which are able to extend beyond their normal position and retract as well. If you are aware of the language, then protraction and retraction, they are very easy to understand by just reading their names. Retraction means bringing something back or being taken aback, and protraction is taking something forward or pushing away from you. So, for instance, I want you to interlock your hands in front of your chest with your palms facing away. Keep the spine active as it is. Do not lean further. And while you're here, I need you to extend your shoulders away from each other as much as you can without disturbing your spine. You'll observe that there is slight extension in the shoulder joint as it is, which does not come from the bending of the spine. The opposite of that would be retraction. When you take your hands back without again disturbing your spine, the shoulder blades become closer to each other as you bring your hands back to you without bending your elbows. This is the difference between protraction and retraction. Protraction, pushing something away; retraction, bringing something back or pulling something towards you. Another example of protraction and retraction happens in the jaw. You are able to push the lower jaw further away, trying to make different types of movements when you're trying to speak or when you're trying to chew, for that matter. So protraction, pushing the jaw to the front, and retraction, bringing it back so that it is not in its resting position, but it's pulled back, opposite of protraction. The next form of movement that's possible in case of the human body is elevation and depression. Elevation and depression, again, they are very easy to understand by just understanding the names of these two things. Elevation means to take something up, or just like how an elevator goes up, elevation means to raise a certain body part upwards. And depression means to bring a certain body part downwards. How protraction and retraction is about pushing forward and backward, similarly, elevation and depression is about pushing a certain body part upwards or downwards. For instance, once again, interlock your hands. Let's work with the shoulder joints once again. Take your hands up, palms facing the ceiling. Now, one position is where your elbows are straight and you completely relax. Please extend them upwards, which means elevate your shoulders upwards and see if you're able to go beyond where you were already. The depression of this would be to bring your hands down or in a comfortable position, which means to depress your shoulders downwards. Another easy way for you to understand, if you're still confused, just observe the shoulder blades as it is. This would be elevation and this would be depression. Pushing something upwards and downwards, elevation and depression. The last type of movement that's possible in case of the human body is called as hyperextension. Please do not get confused between hypermobility and hyperextension. Hyperextension is very normal. Hypermobility is more of disability, so to say, or some people who are hypermobile when it comes to various movements, they have their own set of luxuries, but they also do have their own set of problems. Here we are going to discuss hyperextension, how hyperextension works, extending a certain body part or increasing the angle between a certain body part. Hyperextension works even exceeding the limits of extension. In simple terms, hyperextension is all about extending a body part beyond the scope of its own movement. For example, this is an extension, this is an extension, this is a hyperextension, moving the shoulder beyond what it's supposed to move as. Again, extension, pretty normal, pretty comfortable. Extension, right in line with the midline of the body, and moving it beyond the scope of movement would be hyperextension. This is possible in many cases. This is a movement which is obviously not comfortable for many people. This usually takes place if your body is very warm after a good warm-up before any exercises, or in case if you're generally very, very flexible. Kids are more prone to hyperextending their joints as compared to grown adults. That's because their bodies are more supple, their bodies are more flexible than us adults. This is everything you need to know about the different types of movements that could happen with the joints in the human body. In the next session, we are going to discuss the various types of joints available in the human body. I hope you found today's class informative. I do have some homework for you. Afterwards, I need you to correlate and observe what all movements take place in case of your human body. I need you to observe, take an example of each and every movement through your own physical body, practice them on your own, and try to memorize these terms on your own. Until next time, I'll see you again. Thank you and namaste.